is to master the first category, your own mind, your own character, your own actions, not because the other categories don't matter, but because they're downstream from this one. When you put yourself first in the Stoic sense, you're saying, I will take responsibility for my own well-being, my own growth, my own peace of mind. Because from that foundation, I can be truly useful to others. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Notice he didn't say, make others be good. He said, be one. It starts with you. Think about the people in your life who inspire you. The ones who seem to have endless energy, wisdom, and compassion to share. I guarantee you, they're not running on empty. They've mastered the art of self-renewal. They've learned that putting themselves first isn't about excluding others, it's about including themselves in their own circle of care. The Stoic philosopher Seneca spent years advising one of Rome's most troubled emperors, Nero, but he never forgot this principle. He wrote, "You must linger among a limited number of master thinkers and digest their works, if you would derive thoughts that shall win firm hold in your mind. In modern terms, curate your inputs. Protect your mental space. Put your own development first so you have something valuable to offer the world." This is the paradox. The more you prioritize your own growth, the more you have to give. The more you strengthen yourself, the more you can support others. The more you fill your own cup, the more freely you can pour. But here's where it gets practical. How do you actually do this? What does putting yourself first look like in real life? That's what we're going to explore next. Part 2, the 4 pillars of Stoic self-priority. The Stoics didn't just philosophize about self-mastery. They created practical frameworks for living it. I've distilled these into 4 pillars that you can start applying today. These aren't quick fixes. They're foundational shifts. And when you commit to them, everything changes. Pillar 1, guard your mind. The first pillar is this: guard your mind like it's the most valuable thing you own. Because it is. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, not the quantity of your possessions, not the opinions of others, the quality of your thoughts." But here's the problem. Most people leave their minds completely unguarded. They let anyone and anything set up camp in their mental space. Negative news, toxic relationships, endless social media, drama, gossip, comparison, worry. The Stoics would look at how we live today and be horrified. Not because they were prudish or judgmental, but because they understood something we've forgotten. Your mind is the interface through which you experience everything. If you don't guard it, you don't control your life. What if I told you that the key to helping others, building meaningful relationships, and creating real impact in this world starts with the most uncomfortable decision you'll ever make? The decision to put yourself first. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share goes against everything you've been taught. But it's rooted in 2,000-year-old wisdom that has transformed emperors, slaves, and everyone in between. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we explore ancient Stoic philosophy and how it applies to modern life. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most misunderstood concepts in personal development, putting yourself first. Now, before you click away thinking this is about selfishness or narcissism, I need you to hear this. The Stoics understood something profound. They knew that you cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot guide others if you're lost. You cannot give strength if you're broken. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the ancient world, wrote in his private journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. We're going to explore how putting yourself first isn't selfish, it's strategic. It's not narcissistic, it's necessary. And most importantly, it's not the end of caring for others. It's the beginning of doing it effectively. If this resonates with you, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's begin this journey together. Part 1. The paradox of putting yourself first. Let's start with a story. Imagine you're on an airplane and the oxygen masks drop down. The flight attendant's instructions are clear. Put your own mask on first before helping others. Why? Because if you pass out trying to help someone else, now there are 2 people who need saving instead of 1. This isn't selfishness. This is wisdom. And it's the foundation of what we're talking about today. From the moment we're born, most of us are conditioned to believe that putting ourselves first is wrong. We're told, don't be selfish. Think of others. Sacrifice for your family. Be a team player. And these aren't bad messages. The problem is, they're incomplete. They miss a crucial truth that the Stoics understood deeply. Epictetus, who went from being a slave to one of the most influential philosophers in history, taught his students, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In other words, you must be willing to go against common opinion to find your own path. The Stoics weren't advocating for reckless selfishness. They were advocating for self-mastery. And there's a profound difference. The Stoics divided life into 3 categories. First, things we can control: our thoughts, our actions, our responses. Second, things we can influence: our relationships, our work, our health. Third, things we cannot control: other people's opinions, external events, the past. Here's what's radical. The Stoics said that your primary responsibility. So how do you guard your mind? Here are 3 Stoic practices. Practice 1. Morning premeditatio. Before you check your phone, before you talk to anyone, before you dive into the day's demands, spend 10 minutes preparing your mind. Marcus Aurelius did this every morning. He would remind himself, today I will meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, violent, treacherous, envious, and unsociable. They are like this because they don't know good from bad. He wasn't being pessimistic. He was being prepared. By anticipating challenges, he couldn't be thrown off center by them. You can do this too. Ask yourself, what challenges might I face today? How do I want to respond? What kind of person do I want to be? Practice 2. Input curation. The Stoics were obsessed with choosing their influences carefully. Seneca wrote, associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those whom you can improve. In modern terms, be ruthless about what you consume and who you spend time with. That doesn't mean being cruel or cutting people off. It means recognizing that your mental diet shapes who you become, and you have to prioritize your own growth. Unfollow accounts that make you feel inadequate. Stop watching news that leaves you anxious. Limit time with people who drain your energy. This isn't selfish. It's self-preservation. Practice 3. Evening reflection. Every night, Seneca practiced what he called examining the day. He would ask himself 3 questions. What did I do well today? Where did I fall short? How can I improve tomorrow? This simple practice keeps you in control of your own development. You're not waiting for others to tell you how you're doing. You're taking responsibility for your own progress. Spend 5 minutes before bed doing this. Write it down if you can. This is putting yourself first in action. When you commit to guarding your mind, something remarkable happens. You stop being a victim of circumstance. You start being the architect of your experience. External events still happen, but they don't define you anymore, because you've created an inner fortress that nothing can breach without your permission. Pillar 2. Honor your needs. The second pillar is honor your needs without apology. This is where most people struggle. We've been taught that having needs is weak, that expressing them is selfish, that we should just power through and sacrifice endlessly. The Stoics had a different view. They believed in living according to nature. And nature has designed us with legitimate needs: rest, nourishment, connection, growth, purpose. Epictetus taught, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. One of those things is other people's approval of your needs. You cannot control whether others think you're selfish for resting. You can control whether you rest. Putting yourself first means recognizing that your needs are not negotiable. They're the foundation upon which everything else is built. Here's how to honor your needs. Practice 1. Know your non-negotiables. Make a list of your basic needs: sleep, nutrition, movement, solitude, creativity, whatever keeps you functioning at your best. Then make them non-negotiable. Not I'll do them if I have time, but I'll make time because they're essential. The Stoics called this living according to virtue. Virtue meant excellence, living up to your potential. And you can't do that on empty. Practice 2. Set boundaries without guilt. This is the hardest part for most people. Saying no, protecting your time, disappointing others to avoid disappointing yourself. But listen to what Marcus Aurelius wrote, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Life is short. Every yes to something unimportant is a no to something essential. When you say no to protect your needs, you're saying yes to your purpose. Practice this. I appreciate you thinking of me, but I'm not available for that right now. No elaborate explanations. No apologizing. Just clear, kind boundaries. Practice 3. Self-care as responsibility. The Stoics didn't use the term self-care, but they practiced it religiously. Seneca took daily walks. Marcus Aurelius maintained physical fitness. Epictetus emphasized proper rest. Why? Because they knew their minds lived in their bodies. They knew they couldn't think clearly, lead effectively, or help others if they were depleted. Make self-care a responsibility, not a luxury. Schedule it like you would any other important appointment. Because it is important. You are important. When you start honoring your needs, you stop resenting others. You stop feeling martyred. You stop burning out. Instead, you show up to your relationships and responsibilities as your best self, rested, nourished, ready, and that serves everyone better than you running on fumes ever could. Pillar 3. Pursue your own excellence. The third pillar. Pursue your own excellence relentlessly. The Stoics had a term for this, arete. It means virtue, but it's better translated as excellence or living up to your highest potential. Marcus Aurelius wrote, concentrate every minute like a Ramang on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness, tenderly, willingly, with justice, and on freeing yourself from all other distractions. Notice what he's saying. Focus on your excellence, not others' achievements, not external validation, your highest potential. This is putting yourself first at its deepest level. You're saying, my life's work is to become the best version of myself. Everything else is secondary. How do you pursue your own excellence? Practice 1. Define your virtue. The Stoics identified 4 cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. But you need to personalize this. What does excellence look like for you? What qualities do you want to embody? What skills do you want to master? What impact do you want to have? Write this down. Make it specific. This becomes your North Star. Practice 2. Daily progress. Epictetus said, no great thing is created suddenly. Excellence is built in small, daily actions. Reading, practicing, reflecting, correcting, growing. Commit to one small action every day that moves you toward your definition of excellence. Just one, but do it without fail. This is the compound effect in action. Small improvements, compounded over time, create extraordinary results. Practice 3. Ignore the scoreboard. This is crucial. When you're pursuing your own excellence, you're not competing with anyone else. You're competing with who you were yesterday. Marcus Aurelius never compared himself to other emperors. He compared himself to his own ideals. That's the only comparison that matters. Stop checking how many likes you got. Stop measuring your worth by external metrics. Focus on internal growth. That's where real excellence lives. When you commit to your own excellence, something magical happens. You stop being envious of others because you're too busy improving yourself. You stop needing validation because you're validating yourself through your own progress. And ironically, this is when you become most valuable to others. Because excellence is contagious. Your commitment to growth inspires others to grow. Pillar 4. Take radical responsibility. The fourth pillar is the most powerful. Take radical responsibility for your life. This is the ultimate form of putting yourself first. Not blaming. Not complaining. Not waiting for rescue. Taking full ownership. Epictetus, remember, was a slave. He had less control over his external circumstances than almost anyone. Yet he wrote, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." He chose to take responsibility for the one thing he could control, his response. And that choice set him free, even before he gained his physical freedom. When you take radical responsibility, you're saying, "This is my life. These are my choices. These are my consequences. And I am the one who will make it better." Here's how to practice radical responsibility. Practice 1. Own your story. Stop telling victim stories. Stop blaming your parents, your circumstances, your past, your luck. Yes, unfair things happen. The Stoics acknowledged this. But they also knew that you become powerless when you focus on what you can't control. Instead, ask, given where I am right now, what can I do to move forward? That's radical responsibility. Not denying reality, but refusing to be defined by it. Practice 2. Make decisions like your life depends on it, because it does. Every decision you make shapes who you're becoming. The Stoics practiced what they called premeditatio, malorum negative visualization. They imagined worst-case scenarios not to be pessimistic, but to clarify what really mattered. Before making decisions, ask, if I continue down this path, where will I be in 5 years? Is that where I want to be? Then act accordingly, decisively, without waiting for perfect conditions. Practice 3. Stop outsourcing your happiness. This is the big one. Most people make their happiness dependent on external conditions. I'll be happy when I get the promotion, when I find a partner, when I have more money. The Stoics knew this was a trap. Seneca wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future. Take responsibility for your own well-being. Right now, today. Not when circumstances change, but by changing how you relate to circumstances." Practice gratitude. Find joy in effort. Appreciate the journey. This is radical responsibility in its purest form. When you take radical responsibility, you reclaim your power. You stop being a leaf in the wind, blown by external events. You become the captain of your ship, steering through whatever storms arise. And this is when putting yourself first stops feeling selfish and starts feeling like service. Because you're no longer a burden or a victim. You're a source of strength and inspiration. Part 3. The objections. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You've got objections, concerns, questions about how this actually works in the messy reality of life. Let's address the biggest ones head on. Because the Stoics weren't ivory tower philosophers. They lived in the real world with real relationships and real responsibilities. And they had answers. Objection 1. Isn't this selfish? The first objection I always hear is, isn't putting yourself first selfish? What about my responsibilities to others? My family needs me. My work needs me. How can I justify prioritizing myself? This is the most common block people face. So let's tackle it directly. The Stoics made a crucial distinction that we've lost today. They distinguished between selfishness and self-respect. Selfishness is taking more than your share at others' expense. It's narcissism. It's disregarding others' needs entirely. Self-respect is ensuring you have enough to function so you can serve others effectively. It's wisdom. It's recognizing that you are part of the system you're trying to help. Marcus Aurelius had an empire to run. Millions of lives depended on his decisions. Yet he wrote, "Confine yourself to the present. The rest is either a memory or a guess." He knew that his first responsibility was to keep his own mind clear and capable. Why? Because a depleted emperor makes poor decisions that hurt everyone. A rested, clear-minded emperor can lead effectively. The same applies to you. Whether you're a parent, a professional, a caretaker, or a leader, you cannot serve from depletion. Putting yourself first isn't about excluding others. It's about including yourself in your circle of care so you can genuinely help those you love. Here's a practical example. You're a parent. Your child needs you. Does putting yourself first mean ignoring your child? Of course not. It means recognizing that you'll be a better parent if you're rested, mentally clear, and emotionally regulated. So you prioritize sleep. You protect time for exercise. You maintain friendships that refill your cup, not instead of parenting. As part of being a good parent, Seneca wrote to his mother, "I was more concerned about your health than my own." But notice, he included my own in that concern. He didn't exclude himself. He prioritized his mother, yes, but he also recognized his own needs. This is the balance. You matter. Your needs matter. Not more than others' needs, but not less either. When you operate from this place of balanced care, you stop resenting the people you're helping. You stop feeling martyred, and they benefit from getting the best version of you, not the depleted version. Objection 2. I don't have time. The second objection. I don't have time to put myself first. My life is already overwhelming. Adding more things to my plate will just stress me out more. I get it. Modern life is demanding. But let's look at what the Stoics would say. Seneca wrote an entire essay called On the Shortness of Life. In it, he makes a startling claim. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. He wasn't saying you need to add more to your plate. He was saying you need to evaluate what's already on it. Most of us don't have a time problem. We have a priority problem. We're spending enormous amounts of time on things that don't truly matter because we haven't clearly defined what does. Marcus Aurelius asked himself constantly, is this necessary? Not, is this urgent? Or, is someone asking me to do this? But is this necessary for my purpose? When you start asking that question, you discover something shocking. Most of what fills your day isn't necessary. It's just habitual. Here's an exercise. Track your time for 3 days. Write down everything you do and how long it takes. Then go through and mark each activity. N for necessary, truly required for survival and core responsibilities. I for important moves you toward your goals and values. U for unnecessary, everything else. I guarantee you'll find hours in the U category. Scrolling social media. Watching content you don't care about. Doing things out of obligation that no one actually needs you to do. Those are your hours. Reclaim them. Putting yourself first doesn't require finding extra time. It requires protecting the time you already have. The Stoics would say, you have exactly enough time for what matters. You just have to stop spending it on what doesn't. Objection 3. What if others get angry? The third objection. When I start putting myself first, People in my life get angry or disappointed. They say I've changed. They accuse me of being selfish. How do I deal with that? This is perhaps the hardest part, because it's real. When you change, it disrupts the system. And systems resist disruption. Epictetus taught, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Translation, if you're living according to your own principles, some people won't understand. Some will criticize. Some will try to pull you back to who you used to be. This is not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's often a sign you're doing something right. Marcus Aurelius faced constant criticism for his philosophical pursuits. People thought an emperor should focus on conquest and glory, not reading and reflection. He wrote, "Does what's happened keep you from acting with justice, generosity, self-control, sanity, prudence, honesty, humility, straightforwardness?" In other words, does their opinion actually stop you from being who you want to be? No? Then why does it matter? The Stoics understood that you cannot control other people's reactions. You can only control your own integrity. When people push back against your new boundaries, here's what's usually happening. They've benefited from your lack of boundaries. When you start saying no, when you start protecting your time and energy, they lose access to resources they've come to expect. This doesn't make them bad people. It makes them human. But their discomfort doesn't obligate you to abandon your own well-being. Here's a Stoic approach to these conversations. First, be honest and kind. I care about you, and I also need to take better care of myself. I'm working on being more balanced. Second, don't over-explain. The more you justify, the more you signal that your decision is up for debate. It's not. You're informing, not asking permission. Third, let them have their feelings. If they're angry or disappointed, that's valid. But it's also their work to do, not yours. You can empathize without abandoning your boundaries. Fourth, give it time. Some people will adjust. Some won't. The ones who truly love you will come to respect your growth, even if it's uncomfortable at first. And here's the key insight from the Stoics. The people who abandon you for prioritizing your well-being are revealing that they valued what you could do for them more than who you are. That's painful to discover, but it's also freeing, because now you know, and you can stop investing in relationships that were never really there. Seneca wrote, "One of the most beautiful qualities of true friendship is to understand and to be understood." True friends will understand your need for self-care. They might miss the old dynamic, but they'll support your growth. Anyone else? They were never really in your corner to begin with. Part 4. The Transformation. So what actually happens when you commit to putting yourself first the Stoic way? What changes? Let me paint you a picture based on both ancient wisdom and modern reality. Because the transformation is real, and it's profound. Transformation 1. You stop seeking external validation. The first transformation is internal. You stop needing others to validate your worth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "I have often wondered how it is that every man loves himself more than all the rest of men, but yet sets less value on his own opinion of himself than on the opinion of others." Read that again. We love ourselves, supposedly, but we let others define our value. It's insane. When you put yourself first, you begin the process of reclaiming that authority. You become your own validator. Practically, this means you stop checking social media obsessively to see how people responded to your post. Not because you don't care about connection, but because your self-worth isn't riding on those little hearts and comments. You stop fishing for compliments or reassurance. You know your worth. You're working on your excellence. Other people's opinions become interesting data, not your source of value. You stop changing yourself to fit in. If people don't like the real you, that's information. It tells you they're not your people, and that's okay. Epictetus said, No. First, who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. In other words, figure out your authentic self, then live from that place. Don't decorate yourself to please others first and hope to find yourself underneath all that decoration. This shift is liberation. You realize you've been carrying around a heavy backpack full of other people's expectations and opinions. When you put yourself first, you set that backpack down. Suddenly, you can move freely. Transformation 2. You build authentic relationships. The second transformation might surprise you. Your relationships actually improve. I know that sounds contradictory. How can being more focused on yourself lead to better relationships? But the Stoics understood this perfectly. Seneca wrote, "Treat your friend as if he might become your enemy, and your enemy as if he might become your friend." He wasn't being cynical. He was being realistic about human nature while maintaining hope for growth. He was saying, know who people really are, not who you wish they were. When you put yourself first, you stop expecting others to complete you. You stop making them responsible for your happiness. And paradoxically, this makes you a better friend, partner, and family member. Here's what changes in your relationships. You stop being needy. You're not clinging to people out of fear of being alone. You're choosing them from a place of wholeness that's attractive and healthy. You stop tolerating toxicity. When your own well-being is a priority, you naturally gravitate away from people who drain, manipulate, or disrespect you. Not with drama, but with quiet boundary setting. You stop trying to fix people. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you can't control other people. You can only control yourself. When you internalize this, you stop exhausting yourself trying to change people who don't want to change. You show up authentically. No more performing. No more pretending. Just you, with your boundaries, your needs, your truth. And the people who resonate with that, those are your people. The relationships that survive this shift, they become deeper, more genuine, more nourishing. The ones that don't, they were built on false premises anyway. This is the Stoic approach. Value quality over quantity in relationships. Have a few true friends rather than many superficial ones. Transformation 3. You access your true potential. The third transformation is the most powerful. You finally access your true potential. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Our actions may be impeded, but there can be no impeding our intentions or dispositions, because we can accommodate and adapt." The mind adapts and converts to its own purposes the obstacle to our acting. This is the famous Stoic principle. The obstacle is the way. But you can only see obstacles as opportunities when you're not overwhelmed by depletion and resentment. When you put yourself first, when you guard your mind, honor your needs, pursue excellence, and take radical responsibility, you create the internal conditions for breakthrough. Here's what accessing your potential looks like in practice. You have energy for your goals because you're not giving it all away to things that don't matter. You're protecting it for what does. You think more clearly. A rested, well-fed, exercised mind is a powerful mind. The ideas come. The solutions appear. The creativity flows. You persist longer because you're not running on obligation and guilt. You're running on purpose and passion. That fuel lasts longer. You take bigger risks. When your self-worth isn't dependent on external outcomes, you can try and fail without being destroyed. And that freedom allows you to attempt things you never would have before. You inspire others without trying to. People watch someone who's committed to their own excellence, who maintains boundaries, who takes responsibility, and they think, I want some of that. Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. When you put yourself first, you finally have the clarity to answer that first question and the energy to do what follows. This is when your life stops being something that happens to you and becomes something you create. This is when you stop surviving and start thriving. This is when you move from potential to actualization. Part 5. The Practical Roadmap. All right, we've covered the philosophy, the principles, the transformations. Now let's get intensely practical. How do you actually start putting yourself first, starting today? Here's your roadmap. Step 1. Audit your life. First step. Conduct a ruthless audit of your current life. The Stoics practiced regular self-examination. Seneca did it every evening. You're going to do it once, thoroughly, to establish your baseline. Get a notebook and answer these questions. Where is my time actually going? Be honest. Track it for 3 days if you need to. Which relationships energize me? Which drain me? What activities make me feel alive? Which ones do I do out of obligation? What are my actual needs? Sleep? Movement? Solitude? Creativity? Connection? Which of my needs am I neglecting? What boundaries do I need to set? What am I tolerating that I shouldn't be? This audit will be uncomfortable. You'll see clearly how far you've drifted from putting yourself first. But this clarity is your starting point. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now." Let that determine what you do and say and think. Use that lens. If your time was limited, what would you cut? What would you protect? Write it all down. This is your map. Step 2. Define your non-negotiables. Step 2. Based on your audit, define your non-negotiables. These are the things you will protect no matter what. Your anchors. Your foundation. For most people, this includes sleep. How many hours do you need? When will you go to bed? Make it non-negotiable. Movement. What physical activity keeps you sane? When will you do it? Put it in your calendar like a meeting. Nourishment. What does your body need to function well? Make sure you're feeding it properly. Solitude. How much alone time do you need to recharge? Claim it. Growth. What's one activity that develops you? Reading, learning, practicing a skill? Schedule it. Connection. Who are your true friends? When will you see them? Make it regular. Write these down. Then look at your calendar and block out time for each one. This is putting yourself first in action. The Stoics called this living according to nature. You're recognizing your actual human needs and honoring them. Not eventually. Not when life calms down. Now. Step 3. Start small but start now. Step 3. Start small but start now. Epictetus taught, if you want to make progress, you must be content with appearing foolish and stupid in small matters. Don't try to revolutionize your entire life overnight. The Stoics were masters of incremental progress. Choose one thing from your non-negotiables list. Just one. Maybe it's going to bed 30 minutes earlier. Maybe it's taking a 15-minute walk every morning. Maybe it's saying no to one commitment this week. Maybe it's spending 10 minutes in morning reflection. One thing. Do it for 7 days without fail. Why? Because you're building evidence for yourself. You're proving that you can put yourself first. You're establishing a new pattern. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Well-being is realized by small steps, but is truly no small thing." This isn't about perfection. It's about direction. One small choice, repeated consistently, changes your trajectory. After 7 days, add one more non-negotiable. Then another. Build gradually. The people who fail at putting themselves first usually fail because they try to do everything at once, get overwhelmed, and quit. Don't be that person. Be the person who makes one small change and sticks with it. Then another. Then another. That's the Stoic way. Step 4. Practice boundary conversations. Step 4. Practice boundary conversations. This is where most people stumble. They know what boundaries they need. They just can't bring themselves to enforce them. So you're going to practice. The Stoics believed in rehearsing difficult situations before they happened. Here are 3 boundary conversations you need to master. The time boundary. I appreciate you thinking of me, but I'm not available for that right now. Practice saying this in the mirror. Say it until it feels natural. You don't need elaborate explanations. You don't need to apologize for having limits. The energy boundary. I need some time to recharge. I'll reach out when I'm ready to connect. Practice this with people who drain you. Not everyone deserves access to you at all times. Protect your energy. The priority boundary. That's not aligned with my priorities right now, but I hope it goes well. Practice declining things that don't serve your goals. Every yes to something unimportant is a no to something that matters. Write these out. Adapt them to your language. Then practice them out loud. Role play if you need to. Seneca said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." These conversations will be difficult at first. That's how you know you're growing. Start with lower stakes situations. Practice saying no to small things. Build your confidence. Then move to bigger boundaries. Remember, you're not being mean. You're being clear. You're not being selfish. You're being healthy. You're not being unreasonable. You're being honest about your capacity. And that honesty serves everyone better than resentful compliance ever could. So here we are. We've covered a lot in the last hour. We've explored why putting yourself first isn't selfish, it's strategic. We've looked at the 4 pillars. Guard your mind. Honor your needs. Pursue your excellence. Take radical responsibility. We've addressed the objections and fears that keep people stuck. We've examined the transformations that occur when you commit to this path. And we've laid out a practical roadmap you can start following today. Now comes the most important part. What will you do with this information? Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal, never intending for anyone else to read it, these words: "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." He wasn't talking to you. He was talking to himself, reminding himself that philosophy without action is just intellectual entertainment. The Stoics didn't care about theory. They cared about transformation. They cared about who you become through your daily choices. So I want to challenge you right now to stop consuming and start creating. Stop thinking about putting yourself first and start doing it. Not tomorrow. Not when things calm down. Not when you feel ready. Now. Choose one thing from this video. One practice. One boundary. One non-negotiable. And commit to it for the next 7 days. That's it. 7 days. One thing. Full commitment. Imagine your life 6 months from now. You're sleeping enough. You're moving your body. You're guarding your mind from toxicity. You're saying no to things that don't serve you and yes to things that light you up. You've let go of relationships that were draining you. You've deepened connections with people who see you and celebrate you. You've stopped performing and started living. You're pursuing your own definition of excellence, not comparing yourself to others, not seeking validation from external sources, just showing up every day and becoming a little bit better than you were. You've taken radical responsibility for your life. You're no longer blaming circumstances or waiting for rescue. You're the architect of your experience. How does that version of you feel? Lighter? Freer? More alive? That person isn't some fantasy. That's who you become when you commit to putting yourself first. The Stoics knew something we've forgotten. You are your life's work. Not your job. Not your relationships. Not your achievements. You, the quality of your character. The strength of your mind. The integrity of your choices. That's what matters. And that work begins with the radical, uncomfortable, deeply necessary act of putting yourself first. If this video resonated with you, I need you to do 3 things. First, hit that like button. It tells YouTube to share this message with others who need it. Second, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. We're building a community of people committed to Stoic principles in modern life. Your presence matters. Third, and most importantly, leave a comment telling me, what's the one thing you're committing to for the next 7 days? Just one specific action. Write it down. Make it real. And if you want to go deeper, I've created additional resources on Stoic practices. Check the description below for links to our other videos on morning routines, boundary setting, and building resilience. Remember what Seneca said, "As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters." Your life is happening right now. Not in some future where conditions are perfect. Now. And the question is, are you living it according to your own values? Or according to everyone else's expectations? The Stoics spent 2,000 years ago wrestling with the same question. And they discovered that freedom begins when you stop abandoning yourself to please others. When you put yourself first, everything changes. Not because you become selfish, but because you finally become whole. And from that wholeness, you can give more authentically, love more fully, and live more meaningfully than you ever could running on empty. This is your invitation, your permission, your challenge. Put yourself first, guard your mind, honor your needs, pursue your excellence, take radical responsibility, and watch as your life transforms into something you never thought possible. Thank you for spending this hour with me. I'll see you in the next video. Now go, start today. As Marcus Aurelius would say, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Your way starts now. Waste nitrogen monoxide more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius.